doesn't matter if you watch this video. It's not that urgent. It's not, I don't want to come with this, like, heavy, aggressive, like, agenda, energy that a lot of people have. The message that I feel like giving right now is like, there's nothing you can do, and that's the good news and the bad news. You can tell people, like, be patient or whatever, but life has to hit you and wear you down and smooth those rough edges. It takes years, it takes decades. And there's nothing anybody can say to you. It's gonna suck. There's gonna be ups and downs. It's gonna hurt when it hurts. And some cliches will make you feel a little better for a while, and some won't. Just it's all it all depends on things we don't know. We ultimately don't know, and the I feel like the smarter you are and the more you research, the more you, like, see how much there is to know and how much you don't know. And for my part, it's not that I haven't had powerful confirmation and all kinds of experiences, but at the end of the day, I am thrown back upon the mystery. I am thrown back on, like, there is something bigger than me. As exalted a being as I may sometimes, like, think that I might be or something, I am humbled by the one, the all, the great, impenetrable mystery that either God knows or nobody knows, and my idea of God is almost like the same as, like, there being no God, and yet the whole thing being God and being such an utter, like, mystery and so magical and meaningful and fascinating. And my sense is that, it's going to do what it's going to do. And, God, like, there's a logic to it. There's a logos. It's going to put you where it wants to put you, where it needs to put you, when it needs to put you there. It has its own purposes that we don't understand, And we like to latch onto things and pretend we know more than we know and extrapolate from little things. We get way ahead of ourselves. We think we need to have answers to everything, and we really don't. And it's okay to not know, and it's okay, As far as, spiritual attacks, and that's just not something you need to focus on. I mean, if that's your focus, that's your focus. Don't fight it. It's fine, whatever, The way I see it, like, all that stuff is like par for the course, That's the only thing you learn after years, after decades. It's just like, that's just always there. It's like background noise. So you don't need to, like, tune into that signal, like, who's gossiping, who's a false friend, who's betraying me, who's, like, trying to undermine me or you get to a point where, like, that stuff just finds no foothold in you. It doesn't matter because you're so, like, in your lane, You're just worried about your own awareness, and not in this, like, fearful, like, rigid, like, I gotta be a stickler, like, perfectionist. It's just, you're just there, authentically when you can be, and you're gonna get lost, and you're gonna drift, and you're gonna fall and be tricked and be confused and be caught up in things, and that's all part of it. It's all part of it, and you're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly who you are right now and who you're going to be, and, like, you don't need to there's almost like nothing to say. It ends up being all these paradoxes because there is nothing to say. When you want to anticipate, you anticipate. That also happens in the present moment. You can think about the past, you can think about the future, but it's all happening in the present. And I think that's what you eventually just become more and more aware of. There's all these vicissitudes and all these things that come up. And it's just, you're just there. You just ultimately learn to like juggle and handle these things, I think that's it, We don't have to fixate. People get so like emotional and watch out there, watch out in these streets, and it's like coming to get you. There's demons everywhere. Like, okay, but like, what the demons really hate is when you're like nonchalant and like casual, and they're like trying to like freak you out and get to you, and you're just like, yeah, okay, hi. Demonic shit again. Boop boop. Another day in the life, What else? What else? That's just it. It's just, we're just forming, it's just the mind like forming all these like concepts and conceptions about where we are and where we're supposed to be, and like what is real and what is unreal, like the matrix. What are you doing? You're making comparisons between things that aren't real. Like, this is real. There's nothing to compare it with. It's not even real or unreal. It just is, You have exalted states, you have low states, you have, people have all kinds of formulas and ways they try to like keep track of it, and like when you're in the flow and when you're not, and are you protected and are you, nothing will save you. There are monsters in every hole, as Rumi says. Whatever you do, whatever your thing is that like protects you, or like eventually they'll find the weakness and the loophole. Your tower is gonna come down. You are going to play the fool, and that's okay, because the ultimate, the long-term game, the long game is like getting up. It's just, you just keep going. You self-reflect, you try to figure out what you could do differently, whatever, but it's ultimately just like you realize like I can only win. Even when I lose, I win. But humble me, like break me down. It's like I look for that, like please, like please, like plant a question in my mind, like please, bring me down, bring me into that, because I will transmute that and I will rise, If God wants me to, when He wants me to, like that's the whole thing. It's like, it's cyclical. It's fun to think about, and it's interesting to see what words come out, but none of it really means anything. There's something else going on, like behind all of this. There's the energy, there's the fire. And we have our models, we have like the things that we think we know and we say and we conceptualize and we try to hold on to and nail things down. But it's just all burning up in the fire all the time. And the closer you get to that fire, like the less you need to, the less the forms mean anything. The forms become very fluid, non-literal. It's just poetry. It's, just the reasons are so intuitive why you would like hold on to something or let it go, or, today I'm going to connect with this deity, it's so you don't have to know. You try to like make sense of it and tell yourself after the fact, like, and rationalize. But in the moment, it's just life. It's this fire unfolding and flowing and flashing and doing what it does. And it's incredible and it's amazing. And no one has to tell no one has to tell you to like don't go in the middle, don't like walk into traffic or something. There's like things you just know. Don't have to worry about like, am I gonna know when the time comes? And if you don't, you don't. And that's how you learn. Sometimes you get hit by a bus. Better luck next life. It's just eternal. It's just eternal. And I feel like we've been everything. We've been here forever. There's not old souls and young. We just go around and around and around, and we play every part there is to play. Maybe that's true. I don't know. Nobody knows. I don't believe anybody knows. I don't believe that because some spirit is talking to you, that spirit knows, or something whispers to you, then you know. I don't believe that inner knowing is, that's fine if that's your thing. Maybe that is your thing. Follow that. Go with whatever you're going with. But it's always ultimately, it has to undermine itself. I mean, anything that is like working, it's advancing you. It's going to break down so you can get to the next level. And it's either doing that or it's already done it, and it is what it is, and there's no higher or lower or other level. It just is, here, now. So those are the two kind of ways you can look at it. It's both of those, and yet it's like you can look at it in terms of there's development. But if there's development, then you're already humbled by that. You already have to know, like, whatever you're onto at this moment is going to be, it's in flux, it's in motion, it's in movement. It's never going to be fixed. And it contains the seeds of its own destruction. And the next phase that's going to be even higher and bigger than that. You are always going to be wrong. It's like you're always wrong and you're always right, because you're right where you're supposed to be. You can't skip any of the steps. You can't know what you don't know yet. Like, you'll know when you know. So there's stuff like that. I mean, it's interesting that a lot of the kind of mystical language, or what we associate with mysticism, is like the most far out thing, but it's actually like the simplest, most grounded, basic stuff that when you try to put it into words, it just sounds silly. It sounds like so obvious when you say it, or it just sounds like you're not saying anything, or it takes years. Like if I have any advice for like younger people, like it takes years, it takes decades, and I don't mean to like discourage, or maybe I do. But it's great to be young, and it's great to have your enthusiasms and your idealism, and like don't, what's going to happen is you're going to hit the wall. You're going to learn that you were wrong. And don't let that crush you entirely to the point of becoming cynical. That's all I can say. That's the only thing that can be said, is like, because it happens to so many people. They say, when you grow up, your heart dies. And I think something does happen to a lot of people that can't get up when they're young and they think they've got it figured out. And they've got that idealism, and they've got that fanaticism or zealotry, and they're crusading for some cause. And they know they're righteous and the bad guy, and I'm good. And then something happens, and you are confronted with the utter complexity and mystery and ambiguity and all these things that real life is, and that real good and evil are. And you're thrown back on yourself, and you realize, oh my God, like, are we the baddies, kind of that moment, you know? And I think a lot of people get broken by that. Like they can't get past that. They can't get around it. They become shells of themselves. There's some kind of trauma that happens there that disconnects them from their souls, and they don't even want to like look, and you know, so they either keep going in that way, in this sort of unconscious way, or they become very like shut down and cynical. Either they're still like enthusiastic for the cause, but now they're like demoralized and like lying, and totally like lying to themselves, lying to everyone, just playing some part, and you know, or they become really like cynical, you know, and just like, I don't believe in anything, I'm not gonna. So just don't let that happen to you. But I don't honestly, I don't know, you know, maybe it makes a difference me saying this, and if you hear it, you know, but I just feel like it's all in God's hands. You know, if He wanted you to hear that now, you'd hear that, and if He wants you to remember that 10 years from now, you'll remember that, you know. And if that's going to get you through, that's going to get you through, you know. It's like, what else? Don't take medication. But talk to your doctor. Don't listen to some crazy guy on the internet. But you can see the video of Dr. Bregan, Peter Bregan, testifying, FDA testimony about how all that stuff makes people crazy. What else? I just like, I feel like I need to talk to people. I need to talk to like, I wish they weren't intimidated by me, you know. I should talk to young people. I could be a mentor. I could help guide a lot of people. Then again, maybe not. I don't know. It's like the advice I have is not what they want to hear. It's not what they're looking for, you know. It's like people want these like sound bites and easy answers, and like they want something also to kind of chew on and hang on and like hitch their wagon to, you know. And it's kind of like I'm sort of like saying no, like none of that even doesn't even matter, you know. But it's not in a cynical way. It's like the exact opposite. It's like faith, like just you're fine. You don't need any of these things. They're all like props, and all, you know, like go by all means, like make use of things, you know. You don't have to sit in a cave and never speak and cut your tongue out, you know, and become a eunuch or anything, you know. You can enjoy life, and you can be in the flow of it all, and you can make use of all these things, you know. But you can do it from a position of like, it's all costume and ornament and play, and ultimately you're fine. Like the real core and the reality of it is not under threat, and you're really just like having an experience and an adventure, you know. And the horrible things, and there will be dark times, and it's just, it will deepen you if you let it. If you trust the flow, if you trust life. God will bring you through all of that, you know. It'll deepen your soul. It'll make you someone who can relate, who can understand suffering. It'll make you compassionate if you let it. A lot of it is just not trying to nail it down and put up walls and dam it all in, you know, and like a lot of it is just letting it go and letting it flow, and it's going to do what it's going to do, and it's going to be a million different things at once, and it's not something you can easily categorize and define and lock away and fix, you know. It's bigger than us. It's so much bigger than us, you know. And you can build yourself a little, you know, you can build these fortresses of prayer and different things, and put on the armor of God and all that, and like, that's great. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't serve a purpose and get you to a certain point, but it's also going to get you to a point where you are thrown back on like the barest nakedness of being and trusting God, where it's almost like the prayer, if I have to pray and I have to do all these things, it's putting it on me that it's something I need to earn, and I have to be in that space. But it's almost like it's reinforcing that idea that I'm separate from God. It's reinforcing this idea that He's not going to protect me, He's not going to be with me, He's not going to love me, He's not going to be Himself, He's not going to be God and organize things and put the good where the good go. If I don't do these things, if you're good, you're good. I mean, like, you do what you do. Do it because you're good or whatever. You can't do it because you're afraid or you want to avoid punishment and get reward. Like, it's so much deeper than that. And it's like, it's not that we want to put all the credit on ourselves, or if we've taken on so much blame, then we go to the other side and we say, now I need to give myself all this credit. And it's like, no, you don't need to do any of that. It's because He loved us. It's because He made us. He gave us this incredible experience, this participation. He invited us into being, and He's doing it every single moment. His attention is on us, or we wouldn't be attentive and conscious of ourselves. He is loving us into being every moment, giving us this like ridiculous, incomprehensible, unfathomable opportunity to be and exist and take it all for granted and rediscover it, And I don't know if any of that will save me. I don't know if thinking any of that, it's like, it will and it won't. It doesn't matter. Like, when it's my time, when it's my season to shed my leaves, I will shed my leaves. When it's my season to, like, go down into the snow, I will go down into the snow, and I will appear dead to the world and a loser and all that. And then when it's time, I will spring new and I will shock everyone, and they will like not be able to understand how it happened, because that's what God does, And He takes the weakest. His weakness is stronger than our strength, His foolishness is more clever than our cleverness, I don't know. You don't have to believe anything. You don't have to talk about God. You could be into dancing. You could be into anything. It's all God, and it all comes down to like how alive and invested you are, and how just whatever you're in, if that's what you're in. We're constantly looking for ways to like judge and separate, and who's on the right side and the wrong side, and what's the right thing to be doing. We're gonna do that. I mean, that's just what we're gonna do. we're gonna like try to figure things out, and we're gonna like fixate on this and that and the other, but the thing is, it's gonna keep going. Sure-footed is light-footed, You can't stay put on anything you think is solid and you think is like sure. It's going to like let you down and disappoint you and crumble. But God never will. God as in, and I'm, what am I talking about? Like, being consciousness, like, you will continue to be. Whatever happens, you will continue to be. And you will, your consciousness, your awareness of like where you are and what you are, like, will shrink and glow, and you'll have moments of connecting with your whole soul and all your past lives and everything, and feeling connected to the whole cosmos, and it's all love. And then you'll come back to like a little like candle underground, you know. And one of those isn't better or worse or more real than the other. It's all real, and it's exactly what it is right now. This is what it is. And then when it's that, you know. But you don't need to make so much of these peak experiences, you know. Allow yourself to see the miracle of the everyday and the ordinary, you know, because it's all tied together, and that you can't have that without this, you know. And ultimately, it's like blending them together, you know. Ultimately, it's like that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to either bring these things paradoxically, somehow, mysteriously together, so that you are one with everything and all love, even while you're like right here and it's just this. Or you're trying to get to this place where you can move, and you can be that now, and you can be this now, and you can be that now, and you can be this now, and I don't know. I mean, people get to that place where it's flowing and it's whatever, enlightened, you know. And maybe it just happens more rapidly, you know. They cycle, they fall, but they get right back up so fast, it's like they don't even see it. It's just like being on that vibration, you know. But I think it's, you know, the more you just aren't even aiming for that or trying to get it to nail down, like, it'll just do it, you know. If you're willing to be wrong, if you're willing to play the fool, if you're willing to like lose and like have egg on your face and be foolish and like, I thought I knew and now the more you're willing to do that, the more it's just like, okay, and here we go, and you know, now what, you know, now on to the next. Okay, you lost, like, that was yesterday. Like, I think that's sort of like how it goes. That's how it's like, I've seen it go that way for me. And I you know, I really am at that point where I kind of look forward to like things that are going to test me, because I'm not at that point right now where I'm like running headlong into testing myself. You know, I could do that. I could invite a lot of that struggle by taking on certain things, and I think that's beautiful when people get to that point, you know. I'm at the point where I'm like, you know, inviting it. I'm not like running towards it, but I'm kind of like comfortably inviting it. But it's like after a whole lifetime of never having a comfort zone, never like ever feeling like okay or comfortable, just constantly bombarded and anxiety ridden and overthinking and all that, and like for the first time, like, I feel like I finally, you know, sometimes I think like I burnt something out, like a bulb burnt out in my brain from overthinking too much. But it's great. It's like I finally have some peace, quiet mind sometimes when I want it. You don't have to be high all the time.